Okay, let's talk about something pretty cool today. Imagine an AI research assistant that doesn't just spit out answers, but actually shows you its work. One that remembers what you talked about 5 questions ago and builds this permanent, growing brain of knowledge from everything you feed it. That's what we're diving into, the KG Research Agent. It's a system built on proof, not just promises. Oh man, we have all been there, right? You're staring at a digital mountain of PDFs, and you just know the answer you need is buried somewhere in that pile. It's that super frustrating feeling where you spend way more time just searching for information than you do actually learning from it. So you might kick things off with a pretty big question, like this. But to answer it properly, well, that means pulling together ideas from maybe dozens of different sources. And that's where, if you turn to our current AI tools, you start running into some pretty big problems. This comparison, right here, it gets right to the heart of the matter. Look at your standard chatbots. Where did they get that fact? Who knows? The citations are a mystery, they forget what you just asked them 2 seconds ago, and all that thinking they did, it just evaporates. The KG Research Agent, though, flips that whole script. The answers are grounded in actual evidence. It remembers the entire conversation. And this is the big one. It stores knowledge in a way that can be used again and again. It's a system that's just built differently, for trust and for continuity. So how in the world does it actually pull this off? Well, the magic isn't in one single giant AI brain. It's actually in a team, a collaborative team of specialists. Let's break down how this team of agents gets the job done. You know, the absolute best way to think about this system is to picture it as a junior research assistant. It's the one who reads all the papers for you, takes detailed notes, remembers everything it learned, and when you have a follow-up question, it can answer with the exact source. It's a true partner in the research process. Now, the technical term for this whole setup is a multi-agent system. The idea behind it is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Some problems are just too big and complex for one AI to handle all by itself. So, by creating a team of specialized agents, you can tackle challenges that would be totally out of reach for a single one. So let's meet the team. First up, you've got the planner. This is your team lead. It looks at your question and figures out the whole game plan. Then the retriever jumps in. Think of it as the librarian, digging through all the source material to find the right stuff. Next, the evidence agent. This one's the super meticulous fact checker, pulling out specific claims and their proof. And finally, you have the answer agent, the communicator, who puts it all together into a clean, easy-to-read, and fully cited response. Each one has a very specific job to do. So why does this matter so much? Well, this whole division of labor approach is a total game changer. Instead of one giant, mysterious black box of an AI, you get a clear step-by-step workflow. If an answer comes out a little weak, you can actually pinpoint which specialist messed up. Was it the retriever? Did the evidence agent miss something? It makes the whole process transparent and way more trustworthy. Okay, any great research assistant needs a fantastic memory. But this system doesn't just have one memory. It has 3 totally distinct layers of memory, and each one has a very different job to do. This slide lays it out perfectly. First, you've got session memory. Just think of this like a little post-it note for the current chat. Then there's the vector store. This is like a massive filing cabinet, holding every single word from all the papers you've given it. And then the most powerful one of all, the knowledge graph. This is like a connected brain, storing not just facts, but the relationships between those facts in a really structured way. So what exactly is a knowledge graph? Well, it's so much more than just a list of facts. It's more like a map of how things are connected. It doesn't just know that Einstein exists and relativity exists. It knows that Einstein developed the theory of relativity. It understands the connections, and that is the absolute key to real understanding. Now, the really crucial part is seeing how these 3 memories all work together. That post-it note and the giant filing cabinet, they create a short-term working memory for whatever you're working on right now. Meanwhile, that knowledge graph is building a permanent, long-term knowledge base that gets smarter and more connected with every single paper it reads. Okay, this whole architecture is seriously impressive, but let's get down to it. What does it actually produce? What do the answers look like? Let's take a look and see why these are answers you can actually, trust. So, let's circle back to our original question. A user asks the system about a big challenge in finding scholarly info. The multi-agent team immediately gets to work. Now, here's the magic happening behind the scenes. The evidence agent is acting like a super-focused researcher, pulling out these individual verifiable claims directly from the text. These aren't just summaries. They are the raw, factual building blocks that are going to be used to construct the final answer. And finally, the answer agent takes those building blocks and assembles them into this nice, coherent answer. But here's the key. Do you see those little citations, the C1, C2, C3? Every single statement is directly linked back to its original source in the paper. This is the end of those mystery answers. You can see exactly where every piece of information came from. But a real conversation isn't just one question and you're done, right? We always have follow-ups. So what happens if you ask it something simple like, hey, can you summarize that in one sentence? This is where that little post-it note memory becomes a hero. Because of the session memory, the agent knows that this refers to the whole challenge thing it just told you about. You don't have to repeat yourself or re-explain the context. It just remembers. It makes the whole conversation feel natural and so much more efficient. So what we have here is a trustworthy conversational AI that actually remembers what it learns. I mean, that's an incredible technical achievement. But what does it actually mean for real people? Who really benefits from this? And what's the potential impact in the real world? The benefits here are actually pretty widespread. For researchers, this means you can verify a claim in seconds instead of digging through a 30-page PDF. For students, it's a way to get explanations that are actually grounded in real sources, not just some generic summary. And for all the developers out there, this thing is a blueprint, a practical guide for building the next generation of smart, trustworthy AI systems. Now, it is really important to be clear. This is a research prototype. It's not a polished, finished product you can download today, but it represents a massive step in the right direction and has a really clear roadmap for the future. And that roadmap is super exciting. The very next step is to add a new agent that can directly ask questions of that knowledge graph, basically letting you have a conversation with the AI's brain. Looking further out, they're thinking about an AI judge to automatically score how good the evidence is. And the ultimate vision? To deploy this whole thing as a scalable service that could fundamentally change how all of us conduct research. And all of this leaves us with a really powerful final thought. What happens when the world's collective knowledge becomes truly conversational and completely trustworthy? What new ideas could we unlock? It really makes you wonder, what if our next great discovery is just one simple conversation away?